Hello, and welcome to our CPE Influence Awards event. I'm Jessica Fior, Editor-in-Chief of Commercial Property Executive. We've had an award program for CPE for many years, and this year we had the most entrants ever. But not only did we have a lot of entries, but among those entries, we had tons of remarkable deals, beautiful buildings, and really inspiring people. You certainly didn't make it an easy job on our judges. And speaking of our judges, before we get into the awards announcements, I have a special treat for all of you. All our judges are here, who include Jay Epstien of DLA Piper, Ingrid Noone of FTI Consulting, Dustin Reed of Clemson University, and Nancy Ruddy of CetraRuddy. They're going to give you all a look behind the curtain of the judging process, what makes certain projects stand out, what impressed them the most, and what the submissions told them about the state of the commercial real estate industry. You'll also have the opportunity to ask them any questions you want at the end of their chat, and feel free at any time to submit your questions using the question function. Before we begin, I just have a few things. The embargo on announcing the winners ends right after this event. So if you're a winner, feel free to share with your networks, send out press releases, and just shout it from the rooftops. Your physical award is also going to be shipped to you, and I'm going to send all the winners digital badges for you to share or use on your email program. Also, shameless plug, we will have the 2023 Influence Awards open pretty soon in February, so please be soon to check back then. And with that, let's dive into our conversation with the CPE Influence Award judges. So first, thank you all for being here today.
You're welcome.
Our pleasure.
Pleasure.
Great. What trends did you all observe among the entrants? What stood out to you? And Ingrid, do you want to start?
Oh, sure. I'll start. Clearly, we saw a trend for highly amenitized buildings, whether in office, mixed-use, industrial, or multifamily projects that were submitted. We're seeing the trend towards creating spaces that allow people to have quality experiences, natural light, comfortable and collaborative workspaces. We also saw a lot of development and redevelopment project submissions in Europe, Asia, and the United States, both in urban and suburban settings. And naturally, those projects are quite different. But I really enjoy those projects a lot, as you see creativity and design. And we certainly on this panel understand the complexities of getting some of those projects done, particularly in some of the gateway cities where some of the entrants were located. Nancy, you have some observations on trends as well, I think.
Sure. I mean, I think, first of all, I wanted to congratulate everyone who is a finalist. We had some really amazing projects, and you can see that the world is chugging along, and that we're getting past COVID. So I just wanted to congratulate all of you. I think that, in addition to what Ingrid said, I mean, I think the biggest thing in all of our lives in commercial and in residential is this adaptation to the new kind of work, the hybrid work. And so I think that we had a lot of submissions, and I see it in my own practice, of this adaptation of how we get people back into the office. And as people say, is making coming to the office better than staying at home in your gym shorts, right? So the other thing that we're really seeing in your submissions and, really throughout the world is this idea of indoor-outdoor connectivity that I think we as globally have finally realized the benefits of biophilia, and how that can improve our lives. And so I think that a lot of the projects and a lot of the winning projects really dealt with how do you connect the indoors to the outdoors, and how, to change the idea that going to work or going to a commercial building, that you're in this hermetically sealed building. And so the idea of outdoor spaces where you can not only lounge and socialize, but where you can work is a trend that we're really seeing. And I think, again, the amenitization that Ingrid mentioned is really so prevalent in every kind of building, commercial, residential, industrial. And I think that is a trend that everyone feels they have to check the box. But I think we're also going on to the next generation of saying, how can we do it better? How can we make it more meaningful, better than just a bunch of sofas and a big screen TV? So I think those are really some of the things. And the last thing is really about creating community. And I think that it's something that people didn't talk about that much 20 years ago, but the idea of creating community within offices, within buildings, within like-minded people. So that's what I've been seeing, in my practice and in a lot of the applicants.
I would echo both what Nancy and Ingrid said. We saw some terrific presentations particularly on the development side, from developers large and small. So I think it's uniform across the country. We saw interesting projects in Charleston, South Carolina, I recall, and some stuff on the West Coast, and of course, big projects in New York and Texas and other places. But just what Ingrid said and Nancy said, it's all on the office side for sure. It's all about getting to the office less an obligation and more of an opportunity, and pulling people back through open spaces and through amenities. I think one thing that we saw consistently across the presentations was really bold, innovative architecture. And that's in every segment of multifamily logistics and retail as well, and office. And as we continue to navigate through some very challenging times on return to office, I think we continue to see we've seen a flight to quality in all the major cities for sure. And part of that quality is an amenitized workplace that has not just a beautiful office that somebody can build, but co-working spaces, entertainment spaces, and community spaces, as Nancy said. So I think we've gone through here, maybe on the other side of the looking glass, the last 12 to 24 months, and it's going to be very interesting to see, what the community of real estate developers, financiers, investors, all has to offer as we continue to move forward in 2023 and 2024.
Dustin, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I shouldn't have waited to the end. All the great comments have already been made, but I will add a couple. Just echoing on what some of the other judges have already said, this great discussion of creative use of design and amenities to enrich the built environment where people will live, work, and play. It was great to see. But in light of those kind of common trends, one of the things I found most refreshing is that it wasn't necessarily a homogenized product, that we saw a lot of variance across the projects. They were very different in terms of the way developers were trying to satisfy tenant demands, the way they were taking localized market context into consideration, the way they were trying to design around site constraints and site opportunities. It led to a lot of really exciting projects that highlight and really cast a great light on the creative work the development community does.
Wonderful. Well, what's interesting about the awards is they're the 2022 awards based on projects from 2021. Now we're in 2023. So, it's looking back, but also looking forward. How do these trends, what you saw people submit, relate to what you see being done today, and how do you think it'll play out in the future? And Dustin, if you want to go first to get all the comments in.
Yeah, thank you. I get an advantage this time around. But although I think this is a tougher question, right? That who knows what's going on right now? It's difficult to say. We're in such an unusual place in the market where we're trying to figure out what's next and how people will really respond to the back to work movement and what that really means for the development community. But I think it's interesting that many of the submissions that were put in this cycle are focused on trying to make the most enjoyable work experience possible. But I don't know that they necessarily take into account just the way people's lives have changed post-COVID, that they've reorganized their lives in ways that don't necessarily make any work environment conducive to the way they want to live on a 9-to-5 basis. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how corporate decisions in terms of how often people are brought back into the office or how often people meet in a physical environment as opposed to virtually. When those corporate decisions or user decisions start coming down the pike, how does design respond again to try to make these buildings as attractive as possible?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say, look, your point is well taken, Jessica, that these submissions were 2021 deals and forward-looking on some of them, of course, on the development side. But I think everyone on this call would agree that successful real estate developers, investors, brokers are among the most innovative people out there. I've always said that about developers who go into neighborhoods, right? And what are they doing? But that's why they're successful, because they can see the future and they can grow a neighborhood. And clearly what we saw in 2021 was a tough year, right? It was only the first year of, after COVID. And we saw a lot of the things that we were just talking about that Nancy's seeing in her practice today, and that we obviously see in doing deals on the legal side. The seeds of those changes were germinating back in 2021, and they're here now, even stronger. And as Dustin says, it's not clear where we're going yet because there's a lot of variables out there. But we think I think that we see a lot of what was in these really good submissions back in 2021 and how hard people were working in 2021 to do deals, particularly some of those portfolio deals and deals where financing deals where the industry was really set on its ear for a while and trying to figure out how to underwrite projects. There was a lot of terrific work accomplished in those submissions in 2021, and I expect we'll see the same things when you open the window for the 2023 awards and the 2022 deals.
I'd also like to add that, it's very interesting that there was amazing optimism in all the projects we saw, and many of them were bold in geographic location and what they were doing, and now, sort of a year or let's say 2 years later, we're looking at like every building is amenitized, and going back, we're now being asked by clients who spent $1 million, to do a rooftop or an amenity space, and people aren't using it. It's beautiful. It photographs well. So I think that I think we're going to be seeing people rethinking what an amenity is and start to thinking perhaps should there be more programming by the developer, the building owner, or should there be more services? What do people value? More than the relaxation component. And so I think it's really interesting. I think everyone has checked the box, but I think the next generation of them should really be thought of really holistically, that it's not just a physical asset, but it's an emotional asset, and it's also that it has to have meaning to people and encourage people to use them. So I think that it's going to be very interesting. The other thing that's happening is money is harder to get. Financing, is even harder this year than it was 2 years ago. And so I think we're going to be seeing some very interesting projects that have the actually financial category. I think is going to be very fascinating in what we see.
Absolutely concur. As my colleagues have indicated, the amenity spaces demanded by tenants to bring their workforces back in. I think the jury is out. It hasn't really worked, certainly hasn't worked in New York City as of yet. And to the extent we don't get employees back into the office, it could potentially cause issues for some of our office landlords. At FTI, we say we have to earn our employees' commute, and having a ping pong table no longer is sufficient.
Yes.
I think to Nancy's point. So that's something that, we're still, we can all agree for a variety of reasons that it's best to have our employees in the office, but we're not there yet, or they're not convinced, I think, yet.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise, although 2021 may have been a bit challenging, I posit that some of those deals couldn't get done in today's environment, given the sharp increases, in interest rates.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest impediment to getting deals done is the uncertainty of the volatility. You know, people transact in up cycles and down cycles, but transactions have slowed. I think people, you know, don't want to be the first to transact and make a bad deal and look bad. You know, our clients, Jay, our investment teams, they're people, and nobody wants to be the first and you know, so I think people are sort of waiting for interest rates to top out and then to start to come down. And so, but I agree with Jay that there's lots of opportunities out there, and we're starting to see clients transact on smaller deals as opposed to the big giant mega deal. There's always opportunities to make money, and those well-capitalized companies that don't need as much financing as over-levered companies, you know, may be doing the deals, even if they're on smaller scale in smaller cities. We're starting to see a little bit of movement. It's not there yet, but certainly all of us, you know, hope that trend, I think, continues.
Yeah, and I think something related to that is that we're seeing that being that the people coming back to work is not going as fast as all of the wizards, you know, thought it would be, you know, and it seems to have reached sort of a plateau. And so in development, I think we're seeing more office and commercial buildings coming to the residential areas, which is a really new trend. And it's really thinking about that, you know, everyone supposedly wants that 20-minute city where they can live and walk to work and go to their, you know, fitness and their library. And so I think that, you know, and granted, I'm not a developer, I'm an architect, but we're seeing that developers are taking a chance on doing smaller commercial buildings in suburban locations where they haven't before. And so I think that's something really interesting to watch.
Let's all agree, of course, that it's return to office, not return to work, as I was reminded once.
Yes.
Return to office, yes, Jay. Absolutely.
Yes.
The work continues.
And Nancy's obviously right about this. There's a lot of chatter, and it's more than chatter, about office to residential conversions. I just saw yesterday that the Exxon building in Houston was bought by somebody to convert to office. And so it's very, very interesting because it's maybe a very large office building, obviously. And to Ingrid's point, Ingrid, I think, was spot on, right? There's a lot of uncertainty out there. Money historically, I think, moved to the sidelines during periods of uncertainty. But I think what we've seen since the GFC is that people look and find opportunity much more than they used to. And last week at the real estate roundtable, there were lots of predictions about, you know, where the interest rates are going. And in the end, I think, you know, some people were optimistic that 24 and 25 are going to be much better years, and exit cap rates are going to be going back up again. But in the end, I think everybody's waiting to see, obviously, what happens in Washington with the Fed. And because the capital is the most critical ingredient for all these transactions, and it's pretty costly now. And so it's obviously put some people a little bit back in their seats until they see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And leading off of that, what else do you think will come to fruition? So we saw a lot of submissions. Do you think next year we'll have more, Nancy, as you said, more in the suburbs, which I would love because I'm in the suburbs. It's super boring. Bring in some more stuff here. But what else will we need? Ingrid, will we need 2 ping pong tables to get people? What do you think?
I think we're going to see a lot of repurposing of buildings, you know, conversions, as Jay mentioned, the deal he saw yesterday, certainly in New York City and Chicago, I think, and even in Detroit, the conversion of office building to multifamily or mixed use buildings. You know, office towers are pretty inefficient in the top floors for office space that may be more usable for residential space. So I think, you know, given where the dynamics are going, I expect to see a good amount of repurposing. I don't know what my other panelists think.
Well, I think, you know, one of the things we have as a firm have always done what we used to call adaptive reuse, and now it is called conversions, you know, and but we've always done that through the 35 years that we've been in business. And the truth is that the advantage of that for the development community is that you get your product online so much faster than ground up construction. And the other thing that is amazing and wonderful is that it's the best thing you can do for sustainability. For those of you out in the audience who are we're all wanting to do LEED certification and passive house, but by taking a building that exists, that is viable, that's the bricks and mortar can be reused. I mean, I think it's a wonderful thing, and that is helping revitalize parts of the city that really needed revitalization. So we're, the financial district in New York City is ripe with activity. We're doing almost 2,000 units of housing on beautiful historical buildings and then buildings from 1970. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that. And for commercial use, it's going to be very interesting because the market of large scale users want to go into modern buildings. Because they have greater technology, larger floor spans, greater lease spans. So it's going to be interesting, I think, to watch the buildings that were built between 1975 and 1990, how they're going to be converted. I think it's going to be a very interesting next 2 or 3 years on that.
I may take a step back and take a higher level view of this question, because I certainly don't have a crystal ball as an academic. The other judges are far closer to the market than I am in my role. But I would say, this is cliche, but the only constant is change. And, the things that were so great about the submissions this year is that many of the submissions, you can see creative approaches to better satisfy tenant and resident needs, right? That they're developers that are taking proactive steps to serve a market in the way it hasn't been served in the past. Mm-hmm. And that's always going to be the hallmark of good development. So the developers that are keeping an eye on what are the emerging consumer demands? How do people want to live, work, recreate? How do they want to use space? And developers that are responding most effectively to those evolving demands and desires are going to continue to be successful. So I know that's not a prediction as to where the market's going, but maybe just good practice.
Yeah, and I think you'll see, what will become important. We all see these statistics about national vacancy rates, construction costs, and all those things. It's very important to focus on submarkets. Because it's obviously different in New York and San Francisco than it is in Houston and Atlanta. And I think what we'll see is strong investment in the AAA submarkets, and that the B and C submarkets will suffer a little bit, which will create other issues and maybe some opportunities. But I do think it's going to be a year where the money and the capital both from the developers, the investors, and the financiers are very careful about where they want to place their bets.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I just want to again say, if anyone has any questions for our panel, feel free to put them in the chat. And I'd also love to move to the submissions themselves, and let's give everyone a leg up for next year. What do you think makes a strong submission? What should people include? And Dustin, I'll throw that one to you first.
Oh, great. Evaluating things and grading things. This is my job, so I really appreciate this part of it. For me, it was pretty straightforward. I've already mentioned kind of the end user perspective that if we were looking at an office or an industrial project or multifamily or whatever the product type was, I was looking for projects that took a creative solution to better satisfy tenant or resident demands. Right, that was really what stood out to me. That submissions that really kept the end user top of mind and focused on the end user experience. So if it was a product type, that was kind of the hallmark of a great submission to me. For individuals, we had lots of folks apply for individual awards, and they provided these great lists of transactions they'd worked on and interesting projects they'd worked on. But the ones that were more compelling to me were the submissions where individuals talked about how they effectuated organizational change or strengthen their team through their individual efforts. So those really jumped out. And then in terms of process implementation or creative strategies adopted at the organizational level, things I was looking for were clear goals and measurable outcomes. If you could say, this is what we wanted to accomplish, this is how we measured it, and this is how we determined success, that was a really good submission in my mind.
Great. And I'll add to that. I mean, there were a lot of strong submissions. And yet, as I thought about it, what would I like to see next year? The first thing, that's a different way of saying what Dustin did, is I was really looking for people who are creative thinkers, whether you're in development or operations, but thinking about the next chapter. That idea that you know, flexibility and change is consistent in our world. And so I was really looking to learn about a new approach to something. And the other thing that I would say overall is that I would like to see in the submissions more of the why instead of the data of the building is 285,000 square feet. It has, you know, billiards tables and this and that. I would like to understand the mission better and the whys and the hows. I think that those sort of stories are the most compelling part of what we look at, because, you know, you show the slides of, you know, buildings and site plans and things like that, and they're all pretty terrific. So what really distinguishes a project is, you know, taking new ground, whether it's new ground within the community it's in, or rethinking how we work, or how, you know, what is a lobby, you know, today, or, you know, how do people be spending their time, and the goals of the project, you know, the financial goals, yes, but really what the overall development and design goals were. So I would love to see more writing on that. And for those of you, you know, the ones that come in with like 1 or 3 paragraphs of description, it's always disappointing, because we know that the building and the project are really interesting, and we want to know more. So I would really take the time on the narratives and really giving us the heart and soul of the project.
So I'm a consultant, so I'm going to say the same thing Dustin and Nancy said, just a little differently. But I think that the strongest entrants for me were those that were able to articulate what they accomplished, what the challenges and hurdles of the project were on their projects, and how, you know, they're moving their company's strategy forward with tangible examples. So the details of the submission were very important to me, more than the company's marketing press package. So we want to understand what was accomplished, what was hard. I'm just saying it in different speak, but I think we all agree on the concept.
Yeah, I think those are, I mean, all spot on. I would just say 2 small things. Some of the submissions, appropriately so, were existing packages of, you know, that had been done in another context and submitted, and most times they were appropriate. I think in those situations, executive summaries would be very helpful. And addressing all the issues that Dustin and Nancy and Ingrid just said. Dustin had it, because as he says, he knows how to grade papers and what to look for better than we do. Exactly right. The other comment I would make, and maybe this is just a pet peeve or a thing that I like to look for, we have had over the several years that I've done this, just amazing numbers in the rising stars category. Terrifically talented people. I think we find it's really hard actually to decide who gets those awards. And as everybody knows, who self-nominates himself, which is fine, or gets their company to nominate them, there's a lot of talented people in this industry. So in addition to hearing about what those people have accomplished, and to Nancy's point, creatively, you know, what they've been doing, I think an important part of those submissions, in addition to what Dustin was saying, is what you've done in your community. So this is all about, I think, a lot of people in the industry, particularly those of us who've been around a long time, think a lot about giving back and paying it forward, and having, you know, come through it. So when you're submitting those kinds of packages, and it also comes up more than in Rising Stars, and we've seen it in other situations where some of the packages were terrific about some long-term development challenges and engaging with the community. So community development and involvement and give back, at least for me, is an important piece of the puzzle.
Wonderful. Well, I'd love to end on a positive note, and I'm sure people are so curious. So I would love if everyone could give their best takeaways or a standout project among them, or just something that has stuck with you from this process.
Okay, I'll start. I don't want to name specific projects because there were so many really excellent projects, but I think the biggest takeaway is that we as a society are learning to adapt to this new world. And the idea of experimentation in development while being safe and getting your returns, I think are, what was most impressive. There was always a guiding light on the development team that decided, I'm going to do something meaningful and special besides, filling the bank with money. So I think that's important. And my other takeaway is that this idea of community, that people have this other side of them other than their going to work, as you said, side of them, and that people are living more balanced lives, and our buildings and our developments really need to reflect that to help people be more fulfilled in all of the parts of their life.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed, I guess, because of what I do for a living, but I'm always working on the deal itself. I enjoyed the young rising star category to see the accomplishments of the entrants and how they've contributed towards their organization. And I also enjoyed the ESG sustainability category to better understand how companies are dealing responsibly to address this important issue. And more importantly, the entrants all really had a way of measuring the impact that their programs are having. And that's not a world I deal with that often. So I really enjoyed that quite a bit.
Wonderful.
Dustin?
Jay?
Me? So I would say, go back to what we were saying before. This was 2021. It was really a challenging year. The best takeaway here, in my view, is the industry not only survived, but was full of creative, innovative thinking and ideas. And there were some long-term ideas in one of the categories. There's existing projects, and let's not forget, because we've spent a lot of time talking about development, there were other categories talking about financing and portfolio sales and all those kinds of things. And in what was surely the most challenging year for the industry since 2008 and 9, the industry really came through with flying colors in 2021. And I think most people would say, I know we said this internally, sitting in the summer of 2020, fall of 2020, I don't think people would have predicted the level of activity in 2021. So that's my biggest takeaway. Like Ingrid, I thought the ESG issues, that was a great category. I would even think one other way to play that out in the future would be not just what were your ESG programs, but what have you done on a building basis on ESG, and what is it translated to? Has it changed not just the design to accommodate and address the environmental piece of ESG, but also has it helped in leasing buildings up? Have tenants been happier? I think we know that when people come to work and come to play and come to live, and they are happier in their environment, they're more productive. So all of that is going to play out as we go forward. And I think the industry, while for those of us that have been around for a long time, there's always cycles, and we're in one now, and we're going to come out of it. And I think the optimism in these submissions should give people, just great comfort that that's the path we're on.
Great. Thank you. Dustin, any final thoughts?
Yeah, a couple of takeaways quickly. I know we're running out of time, but number one, this is my first opportunity to judge these awards, and really enjoyed the process. It was just blown away of the quality of work that's being done in the industry. So that at a high level, that was a wonderful to see. The other thing that was a big takeaway for me that, here at the university, we typically have students that conceptualize real estate development in one of two ways. Either they see it as a creative process or a technical process. And I think the submissions this year really so clearly illustrated that great development is a combination of those two things, right? Creativity and technical execution. So I hope my students have an opportunity to visit some of these projects, or at least read about them, because they illustrate that point beautifully.
And if I could just say one thing that I did forget to say in closing, is that what was very heartening is there was greater diversity in the applications, in rising stars and firm and all kinds of firms, and in the energy sector. So I think that was so exciting for all of us to see. So my hat is off, and we hope that continues to grow.
Thank you. Anyone else have any final thoughts? Oh. Well, thank you so much for your help judging and for this interesting conversation. I know I learned a lot. But now we'll move on to the reason for the season, the awards. I'd like to introduce Suzanne Silverman, who's the editorial director of Commercial Property Executive, who is going to announce all the awards. So thanks again to our judges.
And thank you, Jessica, and our entire judging panel. That was a very interesting and information-packed discussion, which I knew it would be. I always love hearing our judges discuss the submissions. They're so knowledgeable and insightful. I always learn something new, and hopefully you did as well. We turn now to the reason you're all here, to find out who won our CPE Influence Awards. The awards are now in their 11th year, and the first under their new name. Formerly the Distinguished Achievement Awards, we renamed them to reflect the level of impact these winners truly have on the commercial real estate industry, whether in their local markets or at the national level, as the industry's most noteworthy properties, transactions, companies, and rising leaders. Always evaluated by an objective panel of industry experts, they span commercial real estate disciplines. And as you all know, they reflect accomplishments in the prior year, in this case, 2021. So let's begin. I'll start the announcements with the transaction awards, beginning with Best Lease. This category showcases office, industrial, or mixed-use lease transactions that contributed value to the landlord's business strategy at the property, portfolio, or company level, attained tenant satisfaction, and surmounted challenges through creativity and ingenuity. And spoiler alert, next year's awards, there will be more property categories in there too. So do watch for those. But in the meantime, first we'll go with Best Investment Transaction. Oops, no, we won't. First, we'll go with Best Lease, I'm sorry. Okay, so the winner for our Best Lease category, winning a gold award, is Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher and Skanska USA. And then we'll move on now to the investment transaction single property. This category evaluates asset sales that contributed to the buyer's or seller's business strategy at the property or corporate level, produce value for the buyer and or seller, and exhibits creativity in surmounting challenges. It can be a cash transaction or a 1031 exchange. And we had several winners in this category. We'll start with the Bronze Award, which is the PG&E Campus by Hines. The Silver Award is for Congress Square, Hodges Ward Elliott. And the Gold Level Award goes to Generation Atlanta, Kaplan Residential. Congratulations to all of you. Next, we have Best Investment Transaction Portfolio. This category considers portfolio sales that contributed to the buyer's or seller's business strategy at the property or company level, produced value for the buyer and or seller, and exhibited creativity in surmounting challenges. And this too can be a cash transaction or a 1031 exchange. And here too, we had a number of winners. At the bronze level, the CRG portfolio sale to PRP goes to CRG for that sale. At the silver level, the Faro Point and Kushner Company's portfolio goes to Faro Point, who submitted for the award. And as you all know, the award goes to the submitter. And then the gold level is the Bronx 2K portfolio, Ariel Property Advisors. Okay, moving on to the best financing category. This category showcases financial transactions that illustrate ingenuity and business savvy, providing a benefit to the borrower and the lender. Transactions may apply to single properties or portfolios, may involve debt or equity or both, may be financings or refinancings, and could involve a purchase, development, redevelopment, net lease, capital raise, or other financial engineering. The bronze level award goes to Northmark for the branch portfolio. The silver level award goes to Columbia Pacific Advisors iOS portfolio. And at the gold level, it's Waterfront Station 2, Hartman and Associates. Now we'll move on to most effective property management program, which recognizes quality property management plans that relate to a specific building or group of buildings. The program should advance the property's performance and landlord-tenant relations, producing financial benefits for the landlord and improving client satisfaction. The program may be broad-based on focused areas such as technological improvements, upgrades, innovations, and so forth. It may be broad-based or it could be focused on any of these specific areas. So there's a broad range of considerations that you could submit. And we are awarding a silver level to iRestify for this platform pictured here. And then a gold level goes to Granite Properties for their overall property management program. The most effective repositioning or redevelopment plan is open to examples of repositioning, redevelopment, or turnaround that transform an outdated or poorly performing property, say that 3 times fast, or complex into a well-leased, financially successful asset. This may or may not include a change in use. As with our design and development awards, which are coming up, the entire project does not have to have been completed in 2021, but we do require an important milestone to have been achieved then, such as groundbreaking, a major pre-lease, a major financing component, or a phase completion. And the bronze level award in this category goes to Piacesno by Hines. I might have butchered that name. Silver goes to the Herald, Mark's Realty. And gold goes to One West Side, Hudson Pacific Properties. Now we move on to the design awards. This year we offered separate awards by property type. First up is Best Design Industrial. This category is for industrial projects that illustrate an all-around combination of good teamwork, a benefit to the surrounding community, and a sound business plan exhibiting solid financial decision-making, preferably also reflecting innovation, creativity, and efficiency. Multi-phase projects could be considered in their entirety if a critical component achieved a milestone in 2021, or a component can be submitted individually. And for this, we gave a gold award, and it went to Yatomi Distribution Center by Hines. Next up, we have Best Design for Mixed Use. And that's open to mixed-use projects that demonstrate outstanding execution of the developer's functional and aesthetic objectives to target a specific demographic. The judges considered such aspects as the project's architecture, curb appeal, space planning, and awareness of the target demographic and market. And they awarded a silver award to Vantage South End by the Spectrum Companies, and a gold award to T3 East Side by Hines. The final design category was for office, and it showcases office projects with an outstanding execution of the developer's functional and aesthetic objectives to target a specific demographic. Consideration was given to the project's architecture, curb appeal, space planning, and awareness of the target demographic and market. And for this, the judges awarded a gold award to Texas Tower by Hines. Best amenities was a new category in 2022. This category recognizes any office, industrial, or mixed-use property incorporating unique amenities that appeal to their specific demographic of tenants. The amenities could include cutting-edge technology, sustainable features, or any other aspect that makes the property stand out. And winning the Silver Award, 757 3rd Avenue, Bentel Green Oak. And now we move on to the Development Awards, also divided by property type. Best Development Mixed Use is open to mixed-use projects demonstrating an all-around combination of good teamwork, a benefit to the surrounding community, and a sound business plan exhibiting solid financial decision-making, preferably also reflecting innovation, creativity, and efficiency. And in this category, a bronze award went to 311 Douglaston Development. A silver award went to On3 or ON3 Prism Capital Partners. And a gold award to the Jasper by the Beach Company. Moving on to the office category, that is open to office projects illustrating an all-around combination of good teamwork, a benefit to the surrounding community, and a sound business plan exhibiting solid financial decision-making, preferably also reflecting innovation, creativity, and efficiency. And in this category, the bronze went to Atelier, 446 Broadway, KPG Funds. Silver Award, 10 Fan Pier Boulevard by the Fallon Company. And the gold award goes to 555 Greenwich and 345 Hudson by Hines. Next up is Best Development and Design Unbuilt. This is an interesting category for us as it showcases design inspiration and possibilities. We've had everything from very practical to pie in the sky, though our judges tend to prefer projects that could be realistically built. That said, we open this category to any office, mixed use, or industrial project, and again next year, more widely to other property types. That's on the boards waiting to be built, as well as exceptional projects that will never be built due to changing market conditions, as well as purely conceptual projects. The judges discuss unbuilt projects in the context of proposed architecture and design, space planning, and awareness of target demographic and market. For the 2022 awards, of course, the category was open to designs conceived or created in 2021. And at the bronze level, this award goes to Washington 1000 by Hudson Pacific Properties. At the silver level, Affirmation Tower, the People's Corporation. And at the gold level, Arts District Project, Skanska USA Commercial Development. And now we move on to our People Awards. And we'll start with Broker of the Year. Broker of the Year recognizes any commercial real estate broker who executed a large strategic or creative deal in 2021. They could specialize in leasing or investment sales, as well as landlord or tenant representation. The submission could be for work on a single property, a portfolio, an area of particular specialization, or a broader look at their accomplishments. And at the bronze level, a bronze goes to Taylor Snoddy of Northmark. At the silver level, Anita Paryani Rice of Institutional Property Advisors of Marcus and Millichap wins that award. And at the gold level, Victor Sozio, Aerial Property Advisors. Congratulations to all of you. Property Manager of the Year is open to any on-site property manager who demonstrates exceptional performance in terms of occupancy, tenant retention, and/or satisfaction, as well as performance and maintenance of their property. The judges awarded a gold level for that to Stacy McMahon of Columbia Property Trust. And the next award offers a glimpse into who the leaders of the future will be, our rising stars. This category is open to anyone 40 or under who is active in the commercial real estate industry, such as investors, property managers, brokers, developers, asset managers, financiers, and others. They may be new to the industry or a longtime member, but they are moving through the ranks, accomplishing exciting things, a star on the rise. Company principals do not qualify. And of course, entries were judged based on accomplishments in 2021. First off, a bronze award goes to Jesse Stevens of Columbia Property Trust. Also winning a bronze, Anthony Trollope of Hartman Income REIT Management. At the silver level, Chris Pearson, Hudson Pacific Properties. And at the gold level, Zahara Kassam of FTI Consulting. And congratulations to all of you. Finally, we turn to our company level awards. First up is another new category for this year, Best ESG Program. This category was open to any commercial real estate company that went above and beyond to promote sustainability or social programs in 2021, whether at the corporate or property level. And the judges awarded a bronze to Sterling Bay. At the silver level, Hines won that award. And the gold level went to BXP. Next, we have a long-standing category that always produces interesting submissions, Most Innovative Corporate Strategy. This category recognizes a wide range of innovative and beneficial strategies intended to improve the strategic position of or turn around a company, such as M&A, portfolio reconfiguration, organic expansion, formation of new alliances or divisions, recruitment of critical teams or individuals, corporate financing, systems implementation, and other corporate or portfolio level strategic efforts that are an important component of that have had an important component launched or completed in 2021. Clearly, the range is wide and we've seen all kinds of strategies and it's been fascinating over the years. Keep those up. Winning the bronze, we have Hartman Income REIT Management for Biz Suites. At the silver level, Horvath and Tremblay for their investment sales brokerage strategy. And at the gold level, Veritas Investments Tech Ecosystem. Our final category today is another new one at the corporate level, Development Company of the Year. This category is open to any development company demonstrating excellence in office, mixed use, or industrial property, including sound development practices, a solid business plan with strong financial decision-making, and a positive influence on the locations where it develops, preferably also reflecting innovation, creativity, and efficiency. Winning bronze, The Beach Company. At the silver level, Hines. And our final winner for the day, our gold level, Sterling Bay. Congratulations to all of our winners. They were well earned, well deserved, and we look forward to seeing what you accomplish in the future. I'll turn things back to Jessica.
I'd like to echo that. Thank you so much and congratulations to all our winners. As I said, you did not make it easy for our judges. We're so thrilled that you could win and that you entered. And thanks again to our judges for judging and also for your great conversation today. So everyone, please do check back in with us soon for the 2023 Influence Awards. We're going to be featuring some new categories such as Executive of the Year. We're going to have a DEI award and a lot more. And also, if you're interested in being a judge next year, please feel free to reach out to me. We love to have people from all areas of the industry, and we love hearing new voices and new perspectives. So thanks again, congratulations, and we'll see you all soon.